You are not supposed to wait until it feels easy. You grow by forcing yourself into discomfort again and again until it becomes your edge. The hard things you avoid are the exact battles that build the version of you you're chasing. Every time you push through, your mind hardens, your will strengthens, and your confidence multiplies. You don't rise by chance. You rise because you train yourself to face what others run from. In a few moments, I will teach you how to force yourself to do hard things and build unshakable mental strength. You are not meant to stay comfortable. There is a silent killer of greatness, and it goes by a gentle name, comfort. You may believe you're protecting yourself by choosing ease over challenge, but every time you turn away from the difficult path, you don't just delay your growth, you delay your destiny. You were not born to sit, drift, or float downstream. You were born to push against the tide, against resistance, against the odds. There's no reward in doing what's familiar. The man who seeks comfort first is always a servant to the man who endures discomfort for something greater. But what is comfort really? It is the illusion of safety, nothing more. And the more you chase it, the further you drift from the man you were meant to become. When you avoid hard things, you don't stay the same, you grow weaker. And when you embrace hard things, you don't just suffer, you sharpen. Now, how do you break this quiet addiction to ease? You must confront yourself each morning and ask, am I living as a man who expands or a man? Then pick one thing today that stretches you. One thing that demands more than you feel ready to give, and do it. Not tomorrow, now. Imagine you wake before the sun. It's cold. The bed is warm. You could sleep longer. No one would know. But you rise, you step into the chill, you train, you work, you think, you build, and the world, though still asleep, begins to bend in your direction because you moved while others stayed still. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you did something not because it was easy, but because it was necessary? You become strong only by lifting heavy things. Do you know how strength is built? Not by doing what comes naturally, but by doing what demands effort. A man's will is no different than his muscle. If you never lift what's heavy, you remain weak. But when you force yourself to pick up the unbearable, you grow into a man who cannot be broken. There's a strange belief that life should feel light, but that's not how progress is made. Everything worth building requires a burden. Whether it's responsibility, discipline, or persistence, the weight must be carried, not avoided. And what exactly are these heavy things? They are the habits you hate but need, the sacrifices no one sees, the self-gratroon that whispers not now when your impulse screams yes. These weights shape your mind, your character, your legacy. So how do you begin? You start by identifying what you've been avoiding. Then, one by one, you pick it up and carry it, not once, daily, until the pain becomes purpose and the resistance becomes a reward. Picture this, a man alone in a workshop. His hands are calloused, his shirt soaked, his back aching, but he's building. One plank, one nail, one hard-earned hour at a time. Others mock his struggle, but months later, when storms come, they run to the shelter he created. Now I ask you, are you willing to hurt a little each day so you don't suffer for a lifetime? The hard path teaches what comfort never can. There are lessons no book can teach. No teacher can explain, no speech can deliver. They are the lessons carved into you by the hard path, the kind you earn through sweat, setbacks, and silent struggle. Most men want the rewards of greatness, but not the path that leads there. They want wisdom without mistakes, power without pressure, mastery without mistakes. But it doesn't work that way. Every great man you admire, he bled for it. And what does the hard path actually give you? It gives you clarity, focus, self-respect. It forces you to meet the real you, the one that only shows up when things go wrong and everything hurts. To choose the hard path means you stop asking, will this be easy? And you begin asking, will this make me stronger? It's a shift, a vow, a decision that turns pressure into preparation and setbacks into sharpening stones. Imagine this, Two men walk into the forest. One walks the smooth trail, flat and well lit. The other takes the steep climb, clawing through thorns, slipping on stone. At the top, only one man sees the view. The other is still circling below, comfortable but unchanged. So tell me, do you want the life that's comfortable or the life that's worth remembering? Self-belief begins when you do what you thought you couldn't. There is a power inside you that you have not yet met, not because it isn't there, but because you haven't challenged it enough to awaken. You think you know your limits, but you don't. You only know your routines. Confidence is not given, it is earned. Every time you face something you weren't sure you could survive, it grows in the silence between effort and doubt. And the only way to find it is to go where fear tells you to stop. Why do most men walk through life unsure of themselves? Because they've never tested what's inside them. They've never dared to act while shaking. They've waited for permission to feel ready. But readiness is a lie. Belief comes after the action, not before it. You must act like the man you want to become long before you feel like him. Try this. Set a task you've avoided, something uncomfortable, public speaking, physical hardship, difficult conversations, and now do it. Your hands might shake, your voice might waver, but when it's over, you'll know something new. You didn't die. You didn't break. You grew. Imagine stepping into a ring you've never entered. Your opponent is fear, but you don't flinch. You swing anyway, and even if you stumble, you leave with something more valuable than a win. You leave with belief. So ask yourself, are you waiting to believe in yourself before you act? Or will you act and then believe? Your future is hiding behind one hard decision. There comes a moment in every man's life when the path splits quietly, without warning. There is no grand announcement, no booming voice from the sky, just a subtle shift. A feeling deep in your gut, a sense that the decision you're about to make holds the weight of your entire future. This is the hinge, the point upon which your destiny swings. It may come dressed in discomfort. It may feel like risk. It may even look like loss, but it is not. It is the invitation to become the man you were meant to be. The tragedy is most men hesitate, not because they're weak, but because they overthink. They feel the pull, but they don't move. They tell themselves they need more time, more clarity, more courage, but none of that arrives. Because the moment demands decision, not perfection. While they wait for the fear to vanish, the opportunity quietly disappears, and their future fades behind them like a door that's slowly closing. The truth? No great man ever waited his way into greatness. He chose it. He moved into it. He felt the same fear, the same doubt, but he didn't let it stop him. He acted while others paused. He stepped forward while others looked backward. And in doing so, he changed everything. Because sometimes the only difference between an ordinary life and a legendary one is the decision to move. You already know the decision in front of you. Maybe it's walking away from comfort. Maybe it's ending what's easy and starting what's uncertain. Maybe it's devoting yourself fully to the dream you've been dancing around. You don't need someone else to tell you what it is. You feel it. You've been feeling it for a while now. That pressure in your chest, that quiet frustration with staying where you are. That's the sign. Imagine this. A man stands before two doors. One is familiar, bright, safe, applauded by all. The other is dark, silent, uncertain. Everyone tells him to take the first. It's easier, it's safer, but something inside him won't let him. Something in him knows that beyond the second door is the man he's supposed to become. Not because it's guaranteed, but because it demands growth. And so he reaches out, not because he's sure, but because he's ready to face it, to fail if he must, to become more than who he's been. So now ask yourself, what door are you standing in front of? And how much longer will you wait before you open it? Do the work when no one is watching. Success does not arrive with applause. It is not handed out under bright lights or earned through clever words. It is born in the quiet. The early hours, the late nights, the hidden moments when no one is watching. While others boast or sleep, you grind. You study, you sharpen, you grow. And you do it with no audience, no praise, no guarantees. Because deep down, you understand a timeless truth. The man who builds in silence will one day be seen by all, not because he demanded attention, but because he became undeniable. Most people never rise to their true potential, not because they lack talent, but because they crave attention more than transformation. They show up only when eyes are on them. They work only when there's applause. They chase recognition instead of results, and so the moment the crowd leaves, so does their effort. They were never working from purpose, they were performing for praise. And that's why they fade. Their strength was borrowed, not built. But you must not walk that path. You must train yourself to act the same in darkness as you would in light, to show up when no one will ever know. Because if you can persist without recognition, without validation, without anyone cheering, you've already won. Why? Because success is not about being seen, it's about being ready when the world finally looks your way. What does that look like? It's the man who wakes before dawn, not to post about it, but to prepare. It's the one who reads while others relax, who trains while others sleep, who keeps refining long after others have plateaued. This is the discipline of the invisible, the relentless silent repetition that always comes before greatness. It's not glamorous, it's not loud, but it's real and it's rare. Picture a blacksmith, alone in his forge, no audience, no encouragement, just steel and sweat, just hammer and flame. Day after day, he shapes, molds, perfects. The village hears the noise but sees nothing. They don't know what's being formed, but he does. And when the time is right, he opens the door. And what emerges isn't just a sword, it's mastery, not made in a moment, but forged in 1,000 silent hours. So ask yourself, honestly, are you still waiting to be noticed? Or are you becoming so great in private that the world will have no choice but to recognize you? No one will save you. You must decide. There comes a moment in every man's life where the illusion shatters, the illusion that someone is coming to save him. That moment is quiet but powerful. It arrives when you finally understand no mentor, no savior, no ideal circumstance will hand you the life you want. No applause will greet your first step. No map will mark your next one. You must rise alone. You must decide, this is on me. And yet, most men wait. They wait for the right time, for someone wiser to guide them, for the fear to go away, for the opportunity to come knocking. But all waiting does is waste. Time slips through their fingers while they search for signs. They don't see that the breakthrough they're hoping for isn't coming from the outside. It begins the moment they take full responsibility. Not partial, not when it's easy, but total responsibility regardless of the circumstances. That's where everything changes. That's the pivot point where life begins to move in your favor, not because it suddenly became easy, but because you stopped surrendering control. You stopped pointing fingers. You stopped asking, why is this happening to me? And started asking, what will I do with this? The shift from blame to blame is where your power begins, because you may not control the chaos, but you do control your response. And in the end, your response is what becomes your reality. So what does this look like in your day-to-day life? It means you don't wait for motivation. You create it through action. You move even when your body resists. You lead yourself when it's raining, when it's hard, when it's lonely. That's the mark of the man who rises. He doesn't wait to feel like it. He decides and does because his commitment is greater than his comfort. Imagine a sailor stranded at sea. The sky is black, no stars, no compass. The storm howls and the waves crash. He doesn't know where he is. He doesn't know which direction is right, but he knows one thing: stillness means death. And so he grabs the oars and he rows, not because he's confident, not because he's fearless, but because motion is survival. And every stroke, every single pull brings him closer to land. That is you. That is your mission. You row through the doubt, through the pain, through the fog, because movement, any movement, is power. Stillness is surrender. You don't need a rescuer. You don't need perfect clarity. What you need is the courage to begin rowing today, not tomorrow, because every moment you spend waiting is a moment you could have spent becoming. becoming the man who does not fold, who does not flinch, who meets life head on and says, I may not have the map, but I will not stay here. So let me ask you, with nothing but truth between us, are you still waiting for rescue? Or have you finally decided to row toward the man you're meant to become? Discipline is the shortcut you're avoiding. Every man desires success and he wants it fast. But most look in the wrong direction. They search for shortcuts, for hacks, for easier roads. They chase comfort disguised as strategy. Yet the only true shortcut is the one most ignore, discipline. Not the kind that screams for attention, but the quiet, daily kind. The one that makes no noise but leaves undeniable results. It does not cut corners, it cuts waste. It slices through delay, distraction, and indecision, clearing a path straight to the reward. Where others lose time wandering, the disciplined man walks with direction. Still, many reject it. They call it harsh. They label it boring. They say it's too much. But what they fail to realize is this: the alternative is far more painful. Because undisciplined living has its own price, steep, hidden, and devastating. Regret, confusion, missed chances, emotional fatigue, a mind that's scattered, a body that drifts, a spirit that forgets its strength. These are the consequences of a life ruled by impulse. They don't arrive all at once. They creep in slowly until you wake up one day and wonder where your power went. Discipline, then, is not a punishment. It's a shield. It's a weapon. It is the armor that protects your vision in a world full of temptation. But what is it really? It's choosing what matters most over what's easy now. It's delaying what pleases the moment so you can build what feeds the future. It's not glamorous. It's not exciting. It is self-control repeated until it becomes identity. Not once, not when it's convenient, but daily, especially when no one sees, especially when no one else is doing it. And how do you develop this? You don't start by trying to master life. You start by mastering an hour. One disciplined hour where you command your focus and refuse distraction. From there, you stretch into a day, then a week, and in time, discipline becomes less of a struggle and more of a rhythm, like a muscle that strengthens with repetition. You direct your thoughts before they wander. You act on decisions before doubt speaks. You train your body to serve your vision, not your feelings. And soon, what once felt like burden becomes your greatest advantage. Picture this. A man stands before a vast jungle, thick, wild, endless. Many others rush in with blunt blades, hacking at random, sweating, screaming, lost. They waste motion. They lose direction. They grow tired. But this man is different. He sharpens his blade every morning. He studies the map. He plans his moves. Every swing of his machete is precise. He knows where he's going. He knows why. And while others wander, he walks quietly, efficiently, not because he is stronger, but because he is disciplined. This is your choice. You can chase ease, join the crowd, keep cutting wildly through life and remain lost, or you can become the man who sharpens his blade, who acts with purpose, who shows up not once in a while, but every single day. So ask yourself, with brutal honesty, are you still chasing comfort, or are you finally ready to sharpen the blade that carves through chaos? Your pain has a purpose. If you keep going, pain is not your enemy. It's not a punishment. It's not a sign that something is wrong. Pain is a messenger, a mirror, a forge. It is the teacher most men run from, and the only one that teaches what comfort never can. Pain strips away illusion. It silences excuses. It demands presence. And if you endure long enough, if you stay in the fire without fleeing, you'll see what it's showing you, the part of yourself you didn't know was there, the part that doesn't break, the part that builds. Most men turn back the moment pain begins, the sting of failure, the ache of loneliness, the burn of discipline. They treat these like signals to stop. They flinch, they retreat, they say, this must mean I'm not ready. But pain doesn't mean stop. It means pay attention. It means something real is happening now. Because the man who stays in discomfort, who breathes through the burn and continues anyway, He gains something no comfortable man ever will. He gains access to deeper strength, access to untapped focus, access to a version of himself forged in the fire, not created by ease, but by endurance. You were not born fragile. You were born capable, with a mind that can stretch beyond emotion, with a spirit that can hold weight. But that capacity isn't handed to you. It must be drawn out, and pain is what draws it. Every breakthrough in your life, every rise to a new level, every moment of real evolution will be preceded by discomfort, always. And the more it burns, the more it builds. It's not there to harm you, it's there to transform you. So why does pain exist? It exists to test your sincerity, to challenge your declarations. You say you want something, success, strength, peace, power, and pain steps in to ask how badly. It measures your hunger. It separates the man who wishes from the man who works. It draws a line between fantasy and fight. And if you stay long enough, if you let it do its work without complaint, without running, something incredible happens. Your old self starts to fall away, and your real self begins to rise. What do you do with pain? You lean into it. You stop trying to avoid it. You breathe through it. You say, "You will not move me." And when the voice in your head screams to quit, you go one more step, not because it's easy, not because it stops hurting, but because you've made a decision. This pain is mine. It's mine to walk through. It's mine to master, and I will not hand that power to fear. Picture it now. A man walking barefoot across burning coals. Every step is agony. His skin screams. His mind panics. But he keeps walking, not because the pain disappears, but because his focus is locked on the other side. He does not fixate on the fire. He fixates on the finish. And when he reaches it, something fundamental in him shifts. He didn't lose anything. He gained something, not in his body, but in his being. Confidence, resilience, power, the kind that only pain can give. Now ask yourself with complete honesty, what pain have you been avoiding? What have you been tiptoeing around, hoping it would pass on its own? And more importantly, what version of yourself might be waiting on the other side if you walked through it? If you didn't escape it, but embraced it, because pain will shape you. Whether it breaks you or builds you, that part is your choice. The fire will come, but only the man who stands still inside it walks out unshakable. You are either growing or shrinking every day. Whether you notice it or not, you are changing. The process is silent, invisible, but constant. You are not standing still. There is no neutral in life. Every decision, every action, every thought is taking you somewhere. The only question is, where? Toward your higher self, or back into the man you've already outgrown? That's the quiet fork in the road you face each day. And too many forget this. They believe that standing still is safe, that if they just coast, if they just do enough, they'll maintain who they are. But that is the great lie, because nothing in this world stands still. The current of life is always moving. And if you are not growing, you are shrinking. Time moves, the world moves, the people around you are changing. Challenges are evolving. If you don't stretch, you don't stay the same, you decline. Muscles weaken from lack of use. Confidence erodes through avoidance. Vision fades in the absence of action. And slowly, without realizing it, you begin to revert. Not just into someone who's stagnant, but someone less than you were meant to become. This is why growth is not optional. It's not a luxury for those with extra time. It's not something you get to if things are going well. It is a requirement, a discipline, a commitment you make with yourself every single day. And make no mistake, it will never be easy, because the hard thing is always the way forward. If something feels like resistance, if it terrifies you, if it forces you to evolve, that's your path. The obstacle is not in your way. The obstacle is the way. But what is growth really? It's not just consuming motivation. It's not reading 10 books and feeling inspired for a moment. Growth is action, intentional, repeated action that demands something from you, something that changes your shape, your thoughts, your limits. Growth is confronting weakness with honesty. It is stepping into discomfort with courage. It is choosing progress over ease, again and again and again. It's in the early morning you didn't want to face, the apology you didn't want to make, the conversation you were afraid to have, the discipline you swore you'd start tomorrow. Growth begins where comfort ends. To grow daily, you must move with intent. You must treat each day like a test, a chance to stretch, to expand, to reach. You don't need to transform overnight. You don't need to overhaul your life in one decision. But you do need to ask yourself, what is one thing I can do today that forces me to grow? Maybe it's finishing that task you've been avoiding. Maybe it's standing up for yourself. Maybe it's getting uncomfortable in the gym, on the stage, in the mirror. And once you find that one thing, you do it. Not once, not when it's convenient, but daily. Because that is how growth compounds. One brave act stacked upon the next. One uncomfortable step taken with resolve. Think of a tree, majestic, strong, grounded, but only because it never stopped growing. If a tree fails to grow roots, it withers. If it stops reaching toward the sun, it dies. You are no different. You must plant deeper beliefs, stronger principles. You must stretch toward higher aims, brighter purposes, and bolder visions. And you must do this every single day, not because someone is watching, but because the man you're becoming depends on it. So now ask yourself, in the quiet space where truth can be heard, are your actions today making you stronger or smaller? Are you moving toward the man you admire, or are you simply repeating the man you're trying to outgrow? Life is not waiting, and neither should you. Growth doesn't knock on your door. You must chase it. You must earn it. Because the life you want, the strength you crave, the peace you seek, it's not found in who you already are. It's hidden just beyond who you're willing to become. The man who endures outlasts the man who rushes. Greatness never hurries. It doesn't crash into your life like a lightning strike. It doesn't erupt overnight or shout for attention. Greatness moves slowly, quietly. It builds itself moment by moment, action by action, choice by choice. It unfolds like a structure made of stone, brick by brick over time with no shortcuts allowed. The man who endures is the man who finishes, not the one who sprints in excitement, but the one who walks forward when excitement fades, because endurance is the ultimate proof that what you say you want, you truly desire. And yet, most men fall in love with speed. They crave the rush of early progress, the thrill of instant reward. They chase applause before they've earned the silence. They want the result without the repetition. They imagine a life of ease where success comes quickly. And when it doesn't, they stumble, they quit, they change direction. But here's the truth. Success never visits the impatient. It avoids the man who treats it like a race and rewards the one who treats it like a life. The one who keeps moving forward when the feelings disappear, when the setbacks multiply, when nothing seems to be working. What does endurance actually look like? It's not grand or dramatic. It's not loud. It's in the quiet mornings when your body begs for rest, but you rise anyway. It's in the failure that knocks the wind from your lungs, but you try again. It's in the days where the path vanishes, the map crumbles, the support disappears, and you still take a step. Not because it's easy, not because you feel like it, but because the mission is still alive inside you. Endurance is sacred. It's what separates those who want the reward from those who become worthy of it. To build this kind of strength, you must fall in love with the long game. You must choose patience like a sword and wear consistency like armor. You must remind yourself over and over that the man who wins isn't the one who starts loudest, flashes brightest, or talks longest. It's the one who finishes, the one who outlasts, the one who doesn't vanish when it gets hard. Endurance isn't glamorous, but it is unmatched in its power. Because when others stop, when others break, when others step off the path, you keep walking. And with every quiet step, you widen the gap. Think of a mountain. At the base, there are crowds, men with energy, excitement, motivation. Everyone is ready. Everyone is eager. But the climb begins. The air thins. The terrain shifts. The weather turns. And slowly, men fall away. Some stop for comfort. Some turn back from fear. Others claim the timing isn't right. But one man, he doesn't stop. Step after grinding step he climbs. He doesn't complain. He doesn't boast. He just continues. And when he reaches the summit, there's no fanfare, no cameras, no applause, just silence. And in that silence, clarity, a still, sacred realization. I did what I said I would do. That's greatness. That's enough. The world won't always know